sometimes closing out a half strong makes the difference in the game.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day here on Tuesday, October 1st in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200,000 bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As you think back to what Ohio State did against Michigan State, you are happy, you're excited, not only to walk away from East Lansing with the win, but with the win that the Buckeyes got and the way it went down. You might be marveling at Caleb Downs and some of the plays he made, or maybe some of the things you saw for the running backs. Maybe we are all still in awe at what Jeremiah Smith does on the football field. But maybe you're looking not just at players, but portions of the game that you say that made the difference. And Ryan Day during the Buckeye Roundtable highlighted a portion of the first half that he believes made the difference in the game, and it is how the Buckeyes ended the first half. A sack on first down, which led to a Spartans turnover, which sprouted into a Buckeyes touchdown in the 2-minute drill. And that whole thing started with that sack, which altered the mindset of Ryan Day and how they were going to finish the half. Next thing you know, the Buckeyes score. And it definitely seemed like Michigan State, the life they had, was straight sucked out of them. And I think what we're finding from Ohio State right now, not only are they good, they're showing signs of a championship-level play on both sides of the ball. Offensively, as they get tested by more teams, Iowa this weekend, Oregon next weekend, that we're going to find that the Buckeyes can respond well when tested. But also they're going to be able to win situations in games that they know if they win these situations, they're going to have a great chance to be victorious at the end of the day. Now, Iowa is better than Michigan State, but Michigan State does some good things. Iowa's run game is way better than I thought it was going to be this year. That's going to be a big test for Ohio State to stop that this weekend. So no matter what the teams are throwing at Ohio State so far, they're stepping up and rising to the plate on offense and on defense. And at the end of the first half, there was a defensive stop. And Ryan Day highlighted that sack that change. Hey, we were going to call timeout, but with that sack, we're not doing that. We're going to be a little bit more aggressive and then win the middle eight. The final four of the first half, the first four of the second half, and next thing you know, the Buckeyes, the game is right there in their hands. All they have to do is control the game and win. Here's Ryan Day and what he said exactly during the Buckeye Roundtable about the 2-minute drill, the stop on defense that led to this portion of the game, making the difference in the game. Quote, it started with that first down sack there. Got a timeout there. If we don't get that sack, we probably let it go. When you can win that middle eight, certainly the game can flip, and that's been a point of emphasis this offseason. Think about what was happening before that defensive stop. I believe it was 17. It was either 10-7 or 17-10. I forget exactly what the score was, but it was a one-score game. You're looking at a situation where Ohio State could be going into halftime with a one-score game, and Ohio State would have to really adjust quickly to get the game in to control it. But no, they closed out that half strong, and the next thing you know, the game is theirs, but it started on defense. We could talk about the Buckeyes defense all day and all night about things they do well, areas of improvement, because definitely, trust me, there are some areas the Buckeyes defense can improve. But if you want to look at this a big picture, this defense is playing and making championship-level plays consistently. And that stop, first that sack, and then leading to a turnover, which leads to the offense getting the ball, moving the ball down the field. Will Howard throw to Jeremiah Smith. We all remember that ooh and on when he made that catch. Next thing you know, Devin Brown throws the ball on a rope to Jeremiah Smith. He makes another one-handed catch, miraculous catch. Got everybody and they mama talking on Twitter, talking about, oh, man, Jeremiah Smith is him. Oh, no, you didn't. Don't embarrass that man. He got a wife and kids, or he got a family of his own. Don't embarrass him like that. Everybody in their mama was talking about Jeremiah Smith's catch. Why? One, it was amazing. Two, he's a freshman. But three, it was a difference maker. And Jeremiah Smith is a difference maker on the field. You can't put one guy on him. You can't put just two guys on him. Even if you face mask him, he's going to catch that ball because he is that good. And with him being that good, what else are we going to find? We're going to find that Ohio State is going to not only lean on the receivers, lean on the guys on the offense, going to talk more about Jeremiah Smith later, but they're going to lean on the guys that can make a difference themselves. And by winning that portion of the game, the last 4 minutes, they really won the middle 8. But the last 4 and the first 4, last 4 the first half, first 4 the second half, by winning that portion of the game, the Buckeyes realized this game is ours. Now, normally this is something that I hear in regards to basketball. Dan Dockich used to call college basketball games on the ESPN, and he always highlighted, hey, how do you close out a half? How do you start a half? How do you close out the first, start the second? Because that's going to give us a great barometer about, hey, what is your mindset in the first half when you go into the locker room? And then what's your mindset coming out of the locker room? Because those two periods, entering the locker room, exiting the locker room, that'll help you kind of set the stage and the tone of what's going to happen over the next 15, 16 minutes at the end of the game. And so for Ohio State right now, yeah, Dan Dockich talked about that a lot in college basketball. And it's true. If you watch college basketball, when we all watch Buckeye basketball here coming up in the fall, in the winter, what are we going to look at? How do they start the game first, beginning of the game to the first media timeout? How do they end the half between the last media timeout and the end of the first half? Then how do they start the second half until the first media timeout? That just those pockets of time in a basketball game definitely set the tone mentally, and it's going to help shape how the coach coaches throughout the game, because maybe there's buttons he wants to push, but he realizes he can't push that button right now. He has to push another button. And if Jacob Deeber's been a very hands-on coach so far this offseason, there were some clips circulating from him in practice being very, very active, very, very animated, being engaged 100% full throttle with his players in the drill. We're going to see that one thing from the basketball team. They're going to start great, finish the half strong, start the half strong, and we're going to find if they do those three things, they're going to have a great chance of winning a lot of games this year. So for Ohio State football, the standard's different in football than in basketball, but the thought is the same. If you start the game fast, if you end the half fast and strong, and if you start the second half strong, what are you going to do? You're going to put yourself in a great situation to win the game. And that's what Ohio State's doing right now. They're putting themselves in great situations to not only win the game, but to control the game from the start to the end of the half to the beginning of the half. They're controlling things. Now, defensively, the defense didn't start strong. The defense had some mental lapses. The defense gave up some chunk plays, and those are definitely things the defense can work on. However, in the midst of giving up chunk plays, they didn't give up. They didn't back down. They didn't lose their mindset. They kept their mind right. And even on a play when Sonny Styles got beat, he kept going. He kept his pursuit the way that it needed to be. And that path led him to recovering a fumble. So when it comes to what we're seeing right now from Ohio State, it's not just winning the half for the defense. It's a collective effort. The defense does their job. The offense does their job. And the next thing you know, this well-oiled machine, or what we believe will be a well-oiled machine there in Columbus, is going to be a lot of fun to watch, because on both sides of the ball, they're doing their job and they're controlling the things they can control. One thing Will Howard can control is how he's playing on the field. His job is to stay within the confines in the playbook. And while doing that, he has been very successful. This episode is brought to you by Roy. It's time to highlight my Roy Player of the Week. Roy is a new platform that lets fans make contributions directly to their favorite athletes. Download Roy for iOS or Android and enter referral code LOCKEDON, and you'll automatically be entered to a sweepstakes to win $5,000 cash. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. This week, we've selected Jeremiah Smith because this true freshman is amazing, so much fun to watch. Had a touchdown through the air, a touchdown on the ground, and made amazing one-of-a-kind plays. I'm giving Jeremiah Smith $100 on Roy. If you were impressed as we were with his performance on Saturday, you can show him some love too. Just hop on Roy and throw in a few bucks. If everyone pitches in just $10, It adds up fast for Jeremiah Smith. Now you have the chance to show your appreciation for the talented true freshman receiver in his standout performance this week, as well as what he'll continue to bring to your program. Get off the sidelines and into the NIL game with Roy. This episode is brought to you by Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus has the best selection of pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, and more. And the best service in Central Ohio. Everything you need for in-home and backyard entertainment is at Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus carries the best pool tables from Brunswick, Ohio, Canada, billiards, and more. And their grills, whether you like charcoal or gas or maybe wood-fired, Billiards Plus has a perfect setup for all grillers. They are family-owned and operated, and when you talk to the staff at Billiards Plus, you know you're talking to an expert who won't steer you wrong. No matter the season, Billiards Plus has you covered for all your indoor and outdoor entertainment needs. Kenny, Sarah, and the whole staff will always go above and beyond to give you the best customer service in the industry. Billiards Plus. Visit their showroom on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day as we continue to look back at what Ohio State did against Michigan State and focus on the offense. We can't look any further than number 18. Number 18 has been very consistent this year, and that showed up once again in East Lansing, Michigan. Whenever you make a road trip anywhere, not just play a game, but anywhere, you want to make sure you're prepared. You want to make sure you have all the things on your list before you leave. Do you have the socks? Do you have the underwear? Do you have the deodorant? Do you have all of your toiletries? Do you have blankets? And do you have things for the kids on the car ride? Do you have all of these things? You want to make sure you have everything lined up properly. And if you don't, you got to figure out how to overcome that little small obstacle, hopefully it's small at the time, to keep the ball moving. Well, Will Howard, during his first road trip in a Buckeye uniform, he needed to make sure that the offense had everything it needed. Had the toiletries, if you want to use that word to keep the same analogy going. Had the underwear, had the socks, had the things that are used for support. They had the things that are necessities. They also had some tools and some tricks in their bag. I don't believe Ohio State called an end around at all this season. This time was in the red zone, led to a 19-yard touchdown run for Jeremiah Smith. But Will Howard is just getting the job done. And I think that's one thing Ryan Day was looking for. Not only was Ryan Day looking for a mobile quarterback in the portal, but he was also looking for someone that he can put the complete trust in for the Buckeyes offense this year to get the job done. And Will Howard's doing just that. No, he's not perfect. No, I don't have a great handle of what it'll be in the National Football League, nor does that even matter. What happens right now and what matters right now, is what Will Howard does in 2024. That's what matters, not the future. Yeah, he wants to be a future NFL draft pick and he raise his draft stock. All that stuff is great. And I think, wherever he went, he would have tried to raise his draft stock like he should and try to check all the boxes. All that stuff is great. But what's even better is how Will Howard has not only full command of the offense, but complete trust. He has a complete trust of all of his teammates and the coaches right now. That's huge. He's only played 4 games in Ohio State. Yeah, the spring game was a game, but it was a practice, so I don't really count that. I don't count any of the scrimmages at all because we shouldn't. He's only played 4 games in a Buckeye uniform. And so far, he's gotten better and better and better and better every single week. More comfortable, figuring out what plays work, how to properly utilize the triple option Ohio State has with an RPO, because for the first time in a long time, Ohio State's RPO has a true running threat for the quarterback. So I know a lot of times the RPO is a run-pass option, run with the running back, pass the ball with the quarterback. But now you got an RPO. It's a run with the running back, a run with the quarterback, also a pass to the quarterback. That makes it really hard to stop. When you look ahead to Iowa this weekend, that is also going to be something I was going to be very keen on to try to eye and figure out. What is RPO? Is it with the running back? Is it with the quarterback? Is it with the receiver? What is it? And you know what's going to be real? That it's going to be really hard for them to figure it out. because Will Howard's, his fakes have gotten better. He is just so good right now that I don't think it really matters what the other team thinks going to happen. If they guess correctly, it can still lead to a touchdown. Will Howard's been very successful. He's been very consistent. He's the big reason why the Buckeyes offense is flowing. And I really don't know if anyone really truly has an answer for the Buckeyes offense right now. What I know for sure is that nobody has an answer for Jeremiah Smith. This young man can ball. When he's out there on the field, it doesn't matter where he lines up. It doesn't matter who is guarding him or how many men are guarding him. He is going to make plays. He's a true playmaker, a primetime performer, as Dick Vitale would say if he played college basketball. He is that dude, and he's playing so well that he's even getting recognized by the Big Ten for his play on the field, specifically his play against Michigan State on the road in East Lansing. He was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week, and just let me just dive into this a little bit. This is the first of many awards that Jeremiah Smith is going to win in a Buckeye uniform. Going to win more awards this year, going to win more awards next year, going to win more awards the year after that, and it wouldn't shock me. Now, I know it's going to be hard for a true freshman to win this award. Ryan Williams down at Alabama is going to be in this conversation too as two of the best receivers in the country. But it wouldn't shock me if Jeremiah Smith is literally in the running to win the Biletnikoff for being the best wide receiver in college football because he's that good. Remember when I said that Jeremiah Smith is him? That wasn't a fluke. I wasn't just saying that to fill space. I truly believe that. Jeremiah Smith is him. And when you are him, the opposition knows that you are that good. They know you're that dude. And it doesn't matter. Other teams are going to try to double him at times or try to do one-on-one coverage to be a little bit more physical. Honestly, the physical defense might get him amped up, might get him to play harder because that boy from South Florida, and they're built different. You know who was also from South Florida and built different? The Bosa brothers. We know what they did when they were in Columbus. We remember all those plays they made. I really wish we got Nick Bosa in 2018, a full year of him and Chase Young together. Ooh-wee. Y'all, that would have been fun to watch. But what is fun to watch right now is number 4 play football in the scarlet and gray. Because it doesn't matter where he is. It doesn't matter who's guarding him. He makes plays. He believes in himself. Will Howard believes in Jeremiah Smith. And literally the rest is history. Jeremiah Smith is just that good. He is so well-rounded. He's an all-around receiver. Handoff, end around, he's going to score. Put him in a short, intermediate, or deep route. He's going to make the play. He's going to block downfield. He's going to be the ultimate teammate. He is very mature. Jeremiah Smith is a kind of receiver everybody wants on their team. He just happens to be in Ohio State. And we're not mad about it. We enjoy watching that man play the football right now. So Jeremiah Smith is fun. Winning the award for what he did against Michigan State was great. I guarantee he's going to win more awards this year. And it wouldn't shock me if he's in the running or if he even wins the Biletnikoff during his true freshman season at Ohio State. One thing that is possibly going to shock some people down the road is not Jeremiah Smith winning the Biletnikoff. That wouldn't shock me. But the Big Ten and the SEC being partners? We'll dive into that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Now, you know when you hear something and it's so good you want to hear it again? Well, that's so good, I got to say it again. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. You get all the extra goes down on the FanDuel Sportsbook app or at FanDuel.com. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. A couple years ago, there was an alliance that the Big Ten and the ACC and the Pac-12 had during the COVID period, and they were saying, oh, we're going to be in this alliance, we're going to have this pact, we're going to stick together. and that didn't last long. But what I think might last a little bit longer than the other alliance is this Big Ten SEC alliance. If it actually gets intact, that might last longer. And as odd as it sounds, that the two biggest conferences in collegiate athletics, it sounds weird that they might join forces. But when we get into it, it's going to make a lot of sense. There might be a scheduling alliance in a pact, but also preferences for auto bids in the playoff. That wouldn't start until the next iteration of the playoff, which would start in 2026 when the new contract goes intact. There's going to be a discussion next week in Nashville in regards to the potential alliance or partnership, whatever you want to call it, that these two conferences might join forces in. The ADs are in on this. The presidents and the chancellors, they're all discussing this possibility. Now, there's one thing that might hang things up, might be a hiccup, and it's not anything in regards to the Big Ten. It's in regards to the SEC. The SEC currently has 8 conference games. It plays 8 regular season conference games a year. The Big Ten currently plays 9. For this to actually happen, the SEC would have to play 9 regular season games, which should happen. You literally have, 16 teams in your conference? Why not play 9? Like, what's the harm in that? Oh, the competition's tough? Who cares? You can add one more school. May it be a Vanderbilt. May it be a Kentucky who's better than you may think. Really good football team. Yeah, the SEC is tough, but it's college football. All you're doing by playing tougher competition is boosting your chances of getting more teams in the playoff. Now, the auto bid portion of this potential partnership is going to be 4 schools automatically in each conference. So let's just say this thing goes to 14. 8 of the 14 schools would automatically come from the Big Ten and the SEC, which realistically, you may not need a partnership to make that thing happen because that may happen anyway. But this type of partnership I like. I like the scheduling partnership, honestly. I would love to have a Big Ten SEC challenge every single year. And also, this might push the SEC. Let's just say they go to scheduling packed, and it's not just 9 conference games a season, but they say one of our non-conference games will be against a school from the other conference. Well, Ohio State already has home and homes with Alabama and with Georgia coming up. So that's 4 games over the next 5 or 6 years where Ohio State's playing an SEC school, which is great. But what about other schools around the conference? Yeah, Wisconsin played Alabama, but that's not something that you normally see every year where SEC schools comes up to the Midwest to play either Wisconsin or Minnesota or Michigan State or another school. That's not a normal thing, but I wish it was. Ultimately, I believe the SEC and Big Ten potential partnership in scheduling, let's just say it boosts up the number of conference games the SEC plays every year. They should also have a Big Ten SEC challenge. This also would push the SEC to add 2 more schools. They don't need to have 2 more schools to have 18 schools in their conference like the Big Ten to have a scheduling pack where they're playing one school in each conference every year, head-to-head style of play. But it will make it a whole lot easier. In college basketball, you have the Big Ten ACC challenge. I know the Big East has a challenge with another conference. Those are fun. Those are great. And I wish we did those in college football. I would be a big advocate of a Big Ten SEC challenge, or maybe even a Big Ten ACC challenge, or a Big Ten Big 12 challenge. The Pac-12 is kind of a weaker conference, even though they're adding schools. Their conference is still, if they become a power conference, that's going to be the 5th school in the Power 5 hierarchy because they're not the same as the ACC or the SEC or the Big 12 or the Big Ten. Why? Because those schools are not close to the caliber of opponent, of the caliber of talent the other schools have. Now, they got some good talent there. Don't get me wrong. San Diego State had Simmons. Fresno State had some really good players. Like they got some good players, but overall team talent, I don't think they can come close to consistently battling with Big Ten or ACC or SEC or Big 12 schools. I do think this would be a great idea for the college football fan. Ultimately, as a college football fan, I would love to see the Big Ten and SEC play every single year. I'll be a huge advocate of that. For Ohio State, let's just say over a couple year span, Ohio State played Alabama for a couple years, and then the next couple years I played Georgia. Then the next couple years I played Ole Miss. Then the next couple years I played Texas. Then the next couple years I played Oklahoma. Then the next couple years I played Florida. You get the gist? What are you doing? You're boosting the strength of your schedule. The non-conference slate was a problem this year, and even though the Washington thing was real, they didn't try to fill it with another valuable opponent. So if you have this alliance and there is a Big Ten SEC component to it, it would just make your non-conference slate better, which needs to happen anyway, which would make a whole lot of sense for me as I cover the teams, and I would love to cover a whole lot more big-time matches that Ohio State's in, but also the college football fan in me. I'm still a little kid with this sport. I love this stuff. I would absolutely love more Ohio State versus give me that school in the SEC. It don't matter if it's Vanderbilt or the team that won the SEC championship a year ago. Give me that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. That is the stuff I live for. So trust me, I would definitely love to have an SEC Big Ten challenge. Hey, if you want to go out there and get Florida State and Clemson, bring them to the SEC, I'm here for it. If you're going to go out there and get Miami and bring them to the SEC and bring Florida State to have all the Florida schools, I'm here for it. If you want to go out there and get Phil another big name in the sport and say, oh, we're going to bring them in the conference and we're going to line up 18-18 and have us a Big Ten SEC challenge week 2 of every single year or week 3 of every year, I would be here for it, and I think you would too. Because I think all of us most of us right now love Ohio State playing big non-conference games. Notre Dame a couple times. Going to get Texas in back-to-back years. Going to get Alabama in back-to-back years. Oregon played them in 2021. Going to talk more about that matchup next week. You're going to get more. We would love to have more big-time matchups. Give me now. USC is in the conference, so it's no longer give me USC. You're going to get them. Give me a Texas Tech. Give me a TCU. Right now, I'd even take Colorado, and they're not even a good football team. Or bring them to the shoe and let them get waxed. Why? Because I just want to be there. Because I think that post-game press conference would be electric. As Dion says, y'all, that school different. I know the talent we got is good in pockets. They whole team is NFL players. So that school's different. I do think that stuff would happen. The partnership and alliance, if it happens, SEC come up to 9 conference games a year. It's doable. Also, make sure we get a Big Ten SEC challenge. That's my own add-in. But also the auto bids. I'm not really a fan of auto bids. Earn your way in. Don't automatically get put in. But just more money for the conferences. And eventually, we might get a period where the Big Ten's half, the SEC is half, and we get a 40 or 45 team league with the best of the best, or a Super League style, like some of the soccer leagues on the other side of the pond. You might get that down the road. I don't know, but as it stands right now, I wouldn't be mad about this because it makes sense. The 2 biggest conferences in the sport line up and match up and play each other every single year, have a scheduling pact, auto bids in a playoff, make your money, go out there and have a better chance to win a ring, get a ring. I ain't mad about it. I'm not mad about it at all. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On College Football. From NIL deals to never-ending conference realignment rumors, Spencer McLaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron. Find Locked On College Football on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. Buckeye fans, we're out of here on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.